The sky over Mumbai darkened, heavy, like a drenched velvet blanket thrown across it. Then, as if guided by an unseen hand, the power snapped off. It wasn't just a blackout, it was a silence that swallowed every sound. Ceiling fans froze, TVs went dead, and the relentless noise of the crumbling Golmahar Haveli just stopped. I held my breath. The monsoon rain hammered the tin roof on my balcony, and below, the car horns vanished into the sticky, suffocating heat. The air inside my apartment, thickened instantly. Sweat trickled down my neck, mixing with the faint curry scent from my neighbor's kitchen. And then came the building's century-old mustinasta, smell of damp walls, of time itself and untold stories that always made me feel trapped. I groped across the table, my hand brushing against my phone. The screen was black, the power bank dead. Perfect. Alone in the dark, with walls that seemed to breathe. And then it began. A cry. From apartment 4B, they'd moved in just 3 weeks ago. A young couple with a newborn. At first, the cry was weak, pitiful. Then it shredded into a sharp, piercing sound that cut right through the paper-thin walls. I closed my eyes, trying to endure it. Babies cry. That's normal. But this cry, this wasn't like any babies I had heard before. It just stretched on. 10 minutes. 20 minutes. It wasn't a plea for comfort anymore. It had become mechanical, relentless, soulless, like an ultrasonic drill boring into my skull. It never even paused for breath on or passade. I was sitting on the cold floor, hugging my knees, my shirt soaked with sweat, hands pressed tightly over my ears. The downpour outside couldn't drown it out. The cry was like a blunt dagger, stabbing over and over at my frayed nerves. Nausea was rising in my throat. Then the room filled with a scent of pungent jasmine, like flowers wilted from some ritual, mingled with a cloying, rotten sweetness, like decaying meat. I'd smelled it last week, but dismissed it, assuming it was just the wind. Suddenly, as abruptly as the power had cut out, the crying stopped. The silence that followed was worse, expectant, promising something far more terrible. I froze, my muscles taut. From the other side of the wall, a voice. MrSharmas.com, mechanical. She, Beta, Papa won't let you disturb them. Then, a soft, dull thud, like a small sack of rice being dropped on the floor. Primera shra neck bake. No, it couldn't be. I was just scaring myself. Surely, he was just soothing the baby. Surely, I crawled to the front door, pressing my ear against the heavy wood. The hallway was dead silent. The whole Haveli felt like a tomb. I peered through the peephole, fogged with moisture, and saw only a faint yellow glow from the emergency light down by the distant staircase. Primera Leia, Ned Bach, trying to breathe. The unease had solidified into a tangible, choking horror. Rustle. Bare feet scraping against the dirty marble floor. I froze. My heart skipped a beat. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. I peered through the peephole again, my heart pounding against my ribs. No one, just the empty hallway. But I had heard it. Oh God, somebody call the police. A voice shouted from the 3rd floor. Mr. Bowmick from 3B, a cranky old widower. His voice trembled with pure fear. Did you hear that? Upstairs. Apartment 4B. I heard a woman scream. A horrible scream. Oh God, he's out! I stepped back, my hands clamped over my mouth. He heard it too. I wasn't going crazy. He's right outside. Mr. Bowmick yelled again, closer this time. I saw him come out. He's going up. The 4th floor. Lock your door. He's insane. Heavy, chaotic footsteps ran up the stairs. Thump, thump. The sounds reverberated in my chest. Then a violent bang shook my door. Anya, open the door. Let me in. It was Mr. Bowmick screaming. Right outside. He's here, in the hallway. Please. He saw me. I screamed, stumbling backward into a table. I stared at the door, shaking violently. Open it and maybe lead us both to death. Leave it closed and condemn him. I crawled to the peephole again, trembling. The hallway was empty. No Mr. Bomik. No Mr. Sharma. Only darkness and that distant yellow glow. But the banging continued, and Mr. Bomik's screams still pierced my ears, begging to get in. He's right behind me. Open the door. Then I realized the banging, the screaming, they weren't coming from outside. They were echoing inside my own head. I slid back into the living room, horrified. Was I losing my mind? The heat, the darkness, the crying, it was all breaking me. The door banging stopped. Silence returned, heavy and threatening. I curled into the darkest corner, trembling for what felt like an hour. I didn't dare move, just listening. Rain. Rain. A drip from the ceiling plopping into the bucket I had set out. Then, a new sound. From apartment 4C, across the hall, Rohan, the young musician, usually so noisy, his sitar wailing all day. But since the blackout, he had been silent. Now I heard him, a moan. Painful, choked, like someone trying to cry, but couldn't. Help me! A weak sound floated through the hallway, then a loud crash. Glass shattering. A heavy thud, then silence. I couldn't take it anymore. This wasn't a hallucination. A tragedy was unfolding, right here. Mr. Sharma in 4B, Mr. Bomik in the hallway, and now Rohan in 4C. I was going to be next. Fear gave way to a cold despair. I had to know what I was facing. I had to see the truth. I stood up, my legs heavy as lead, crossing the dark living room, the smell of wilted jasmine suffocating me. I reached the door, inhaled deeply, and peered through the peephole one last time. The hallway remained dark. The emergency light seemed to have gone out. A shadow stood there. It was Mr. Sharma. From 4B he stood inches from my door. But he wasn't looking at me. His back trembled, hands clenched into fists. He was staring at Rohan's door, which was now completely silent. He wasn't a predator. He was prey, terrified. Then, in the deadly hallway silence, Mr. Sharma slowly turned. His face was in shadow, but his eyes were wide, stark white with sheer horror. His gaze pierced the fogged glass, locking onto mine. His lips moved. No sound came out, but I read every word, etched forever into my mind. It's not out here. Tears rolled down his cheeks. It's in there. It's in 4A. A cold draft brushed the back of my neck, carrying the stench of rotting jasmine. I realized then, it was all real. The crying baby, Sharma's whispers, Bomik's screams, Rohan's moans. They weren't echoes, they were a welcoming feast. I wanted to scream, but my throat was dry, voiceless. Slowly, I turned to face the darkness that reigned in my own apartment. This time, the whisper didn't come from the wall. It came from right behind me, a freezing breath on my skin. She? Thank you for joining me on this terrifying journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more chills. Stay safe, and see you next time.